Morning, everyone. In this video, we're going to look at just some new crisis and maybe some measurements that are important. Um, it wasn't actually going to be a video. I was just going to look at this myself because I was curious. But figured if I'm going to look at it, why not let you guys in on it? So we know there's 4 new crises for each side, extracts and secures. In fact, you know, if you want to see my danger room on my video on how I set up this little danger room where I just keep this all the time, so it's super easy to come test stuff. You can check that out. I highly recommend it if you're into testing measurements and stuff, and just looking at setups. It's funny in talking. I have people, who obviously talk to me about the game, whether they're newer, experienced, etc., etc. And the always thing that makes me laugh sometimes is that obviously I come in and I check a lot of distances, and a lot of top players know like you can't get from D to D with a long mover in a big base like Namor, and it's funny how a lot of people don't know that kind of stuff. Like it's not that unintuitive, but sometimes people don't know. And then you hear people doing it like cheating in person. Not cheating, maybe it's cheating, maybe it's just not measuring very well. But I almost take for granted people know the distances as well as others do. So one thing I really want to check, so advanced weaponry, so how many new shapes do we have? We have the new deadline to destruction is a tighter D. Advanced weaponry is a new midline extract. Royal Guest is a B, so it's not as big deal for measuring. This is just a D map. This is an F map. This is Old Sword. So it's really just 4 new shapes to really test some stuff on and just see. And I'll give some comments on what I think of the new shapes and how I think they could impact the game. So I think human weaponry, it might be one of the more... It's definitely one of the interesting shapes. I'm curious to see how the meta around it pans out. And so you might think, okay, well, Paranoia was kind of a similar shape, but I think Paranoia was much like wider, right? Like it wasn't as close as the two. And then you might go, oh, well, it's just an even virus, right? And my counterpoint to that will be the thing with viruses, if you set up across from somebody and they stole the one in front of you, whether, we'll say unsafely, there is nothing you can do but go and try to attack them, or if you have a punish. I think inhuman weaponry will be much more interesting, and in fact, I almost think the person going second might have an advantage on it. I don't know for sure. I mean, you can do things like take Nick Fury and like double grab with the grunts, and now the enemy can only go once, and then you get to grab again, and so you basically get to grab 3, but you're all in the middle, and if you don't have Namor or something, or some sort of safe grab, there's 2 people sitting out in the middle, including the grunts, and obviously they can drop one back, but Nick is not safe. It'll clearly put some pressure on, but I mean, I don't think it's like a guarantee like we're going to win the game just because we grab 3-1. And, especially if they have punishes for it. But why I find it so fascinating is, especially as somebody going second, is let's just say you can't. Let's just do a comparison, right? So who cares who's over here? Let's just say you're gonna raw grab it instead of safe grab it, right? In the virus days, maybe iHulk is a bad example, but in the virus days, I could just take this virus with whoever. And then iHulk can only try to punish it. Now, he's one of the best at doing it with bump and one below all. He can get there and fuck you up. But, a lot of people can't double tap you, or especially with as strong as attacks as iHulk. They're probably doing like a single attack. Even Voodoo, right? Well, he can steal it, so that's really a bad example. I'm trying to think of like a good, just think of people who can like shoot you on the midline, right? You can probably survive one attack, especially if there's in cover. And then what are you going to do, right? Like you have him, or you have the model, but if it was virus, there'd only be one there. So if you didn't kill it, you don't get anything out of it, per se. Whereas in the new one, I think there's a lot more to be gained because now you have the option, like, so I'll give you kind of an example here, right? Hulk can set up here. So first off, maybe we start like safe grab central. These are close enough that someone like Namor or Angela or ASM can safe grab both of them easily. There's no same for bumping like Red Skull 2, bumping Zemo. A lot of people who can safe grab one can safe grab both. Like they're not wide enough to where the distance is that like impactful. So from a safe grab perspective, it's also good for people like ASM and Namor because going second, because they can't screw you, right? Again, if you both have Namor and you have to deploy your Namor second, like if they just put their Namor or first, you have to play your, if they just put their Namor in front of your Namor and they have priority, they just take the one in front of Namor and he's out of luck to get safe grabbed. In this one, unless they can take both of them with like a Nick Fury, so let's just like put off the Nick Fury and the grunts, the other one, Shadowland grunts, whatever. Let's just assume that is not happening in this particular instance. You can both just safe grab one of them and back away. Like you're not screwed in any way. You can't get, so going second's good there for that. You're not screwed in that. But the one thing I like about going second is if they don't have a lot of safe grabs, you can kind of, if you're strong enough to get to the midline and punish, you can also like get the benefit of picking one up. So let's just do a very basic idea here. Again, super basic, but let's just do it. They say, I'm going to pick up this one. If it was Virus, Hulk would have to go up and try to kill him, right? It's not Virus, so Hulk could, in theory, walk up, bump, get within 2 of both. I'm pretty sure he could easily get within 2 of both. Get within 1 of both, sorry. Get within 1 of both, and if he's within 1 of this one, he's within 2 of him. Attack this guy twice. Again, this is a really bad example only because Hulk is so good at this. Like you wouldn't, like he can kill a lot of things turn 1. But think of like things like Red Skull as a punish, right? If it was Red Skull, could get up here. Actually, I'm curious how far up he can get. Can he get like right between them? Obviously, there's always terrain, and he can shoot from farther away. But ideally, you want to be able to get on the second point and attack. You want to be able to touch both points. He can easily do it. I think he can. Well, he's range 3, so he doesn't matter. But even a range 2 person could do this. Like he can go, and now he can say, "All right, I'm gonna attack you, get my 1 power, right? So I'm at 0. Do I even need it? Yeah, because you bump for 1. Does it work? I have to think of the power. If you blank shot, bump, cut. You're going to be 1 power short, I guess, to blanks it, unless you hit the trigger, and you won't know if you hit the trigger till after the fact. So you can't blanks it without doing it. Maybe Red Skull's not the best example. I guess you could get a non-blank shot off and just be happy with that. I know it does kind of suck to get a non-blank shot, but I guess in theory you could shoot him without the blanks from range 3, see if you get the move, and then you would save a power. Anyway, the point being is, if you have, Hulk's maybe a better example, but anyone, you could attack him and then try to generate the power to then pick up this one. So in the world that like this is a tanky model and he survives, or you throw him back to your team who's sitting behind you, you could just pick up this one after the fact, right? And so in more of a basic example, Logan is probably a better one because he's like, right? Logan in any team, not just Suns, could just walk up, right? Actually, this is actually what I want to measure. Actually, you could get screwed as Logan. Logan's a bad example. Damn, who can do this? Maybe it's not as punishing as I thought, depending on what your model is. Can you stand here? Yeah, okay. So there's enough room in between both of them to where I was wondering if there's enough room to where if he placed all the way over here. So, like, if he placed here and you couldn't get within one of this, you wouldn't be within 2. Okay, so there's nowhere to hide from someone who can get here. But I guess what I was thinking was if you pick this up on this side and it was Logan, for example, and he attacked you and placed here, he actually wouldn't get in range of this one. So you really need someone who can punish and get to the midline. I guess it maybe is better for like Suns in that case. But, you know, the point where even Blade, right? Even Blade could walk up, shoot this guy, hope to get a hit trigger, to get a proc to go here and pick this one up. That's basically what I'm saying. I'm saying is that if someone safe grabs in front or grabs in front of you, you're not like, you have options to kind of punish them, and still pick one up without having to guarantee like a full punish. Or you can throw them back and have somebody else pick it up. So I like that. I think it's going to be interesting how the dynamic goes of the back and forth, right? Let's just assume you're not Midnight Suns with iHawk and you don't have some like super intense like blow up on the midline type team. This is also why going second matters, because you could sit iHawk here and just say, well, until you grab one of the two, I'm not going to move him, because I always have two options, right? In Virus, I'm using Virus as an example because it's the best one to use as an example. In Virus Hammer is like, you might, if they don't go get it, you might as well get it because they can't do anything. Whereas in like this one, I don't want to safe grab this one with iHawk because if I go up and walk away with him, I lose all my threat on this one. So if I hold as long as I can and say, listen, you better go there before he comes, and maybe even have a blade there to go safe grab one and say, go grab the other one because iHawk's coming for you if you don't. It's stuff like that. I think there's a mini game of pressure that it actually starts to favor this person who goes second, depending on your roster, of course, and then the person who goes second gets an interesting, they can dictate a little bit. You grab this one first. They have a choice. They go grab next to you, or they go grab on the other side, and then you can say, well, am I going to grab next to my own and separate them, or I'm going to have 2 and 2, right? I guess technically the second person who goes second gets the first chance to, we'll just call it parity. Parity will be you get 2 on each side of the same side. And we'll say unparity is, split parity is when you grab enemy and you grab. The person who goes second has a choice to say, we're either going to go potential parity or not. Like, they can instantly just take this one and mimic yours. And then if they do go here, the person who has priority gets to say, well, I'm going to go parity and go on the same side, or I'm going to unparity and go uneven and go the other side. Even versus uneven might be better. Again, I think it's super interesting. The beam aspect of it, I don't really care about. It's good on grunts. I mean, a 6 dice beam with can't explode and no rerolls is, and no power gen certainly has uses if it's clumped up and stuff. But I mean, Montesi's the same thing with Mystic, and no one really shoots the beam that much. I'm sure it's fine. We don't think about it. I think it's more the shape and it's even, but it creates this weird tension. Like even if these were just like here, like more like a Paranoia was, right? I don't know how in Paranoia was off the top of my head. I guess we can find it. Nope, I deleted them all because I'm an idiot. All right, fuck it, don't care. Like it didn't have that same level of like iHawk getting this one wouldn't necessarily be able to punish this one. So I really think this shape is interesting. I'm gonna test it. I don't think it'll end up being one in my roster, mainly because I don't really want to play the 18 at it. Like I don't mind 18. But I think for like a full punish of this type of shape, I don't need 18. I want 18. 18 is not the best, and it's all for squad goals, and like I think there's better people on it. But I think that's how I'm interested how this shape will pan out. I think like going second almost feels better. Obviously, it's going to depend team by team, but I kind of have a feeling that some teams will just want it in their extracts and want to go second and be very happy. Something like Avengers, I'll give you just an example. Avengers would like it if they have like even like a Thor 1 and a Hulk, because you could just like go second and like they pick up one of them, and okay, you Avengers assemble both. Let's say you're Steve 1. Like Thor gets to walk, attack you, pick up one. Or you get fucking Hulk leaps into you and gets to double tap you or throw you away back into the team and pick up one. Like the fact that you can do both is what's so big to me. So maybe safe grabs are almost even more important so that you can grab one side and they can't instantly punish you. Again, I think going second on this, it's to the point that if I was like 4 versus 5 wide on this, and I had priority, I would consider passing first, depending on the layout. And just saying, all right, I'm going to pass, you make a move, do something, right? Okay, so that's that shape. I think that one's an interesting one without being at the moment too crazy. Let's do this one last because it seems to give people. That's the one I'll probably talk a little bit more about, like the actual crisis itself, and not just distances. So this is the wedding one. So it's like the Fisk, but with power, and it's way farther apart. Um, I guess one thing that somebody mentioned already is that like a model with charge, like a Jane or something, if she had power, if you deploy her right in the middle, I'm pretty sure she can walk charge either side. So that's something to keep in mind too, that she can get within one of both sides, because I mean that's just something about like where you put your models to start, right? Like I know if I want a double walk blade over here, I need to put him in the middle. Whereas somebody like the werewolf moves faster, or whoever, and I could be over a little more if I wanted. Like the grunts, like the Red Skull 2 grunts could never make it to both. So that's good stuff to know. Know if terrain's going to get in your way. I think those distances, like, it's not just knowing, okay, there's knowing what you can do and then knowing how close what you can do is. And what I mean by that is if it's really close, then you'll have a sense of like, is terrain going to screw me or not? And then can you account for that? And so that's something to really think about when you're putting down models, picking sides, deciding which side is going to go for what model and whatnot. Like, look at terrain, know your distances. If you're trying to go D to D, front to back with a long mover, you got to be perfect with no one in your way, basically, to get there. I've messed it up in tournament games. A lot of people don't go for it in tournaments because if you're off by a little, if one of the tokens is off by a little, if there's a little piece of terrain your way, you won't make it. So this one's really far. I don't have a great like commentary on this one. I guess people talked about like if the enemy wins both. Is this locked in? Oh, you have to unlock it. That makes sense. I don't know. I assume I did it right. Oh, it locks again? Oh, no, it's not locked. There. I guess I don't like this. I'm already annoyed. I guess you have to do this with Fisk. I guess they come in and they don't get that much closer, and then you can come in even further. Fisk is much closer together. Make them kiss a little, right, at the end. It's a better threat value with 20, more models on the board. Losing power at the end of the cleanup, which is a big deal. So, like, if you're on 0 power, you're not going to, like, get poisoned and then be 0 the next time. I mean, it's probably like Fisk for people who don't like Fisk in a way. Fisk is bad. The reason I like this one, and I probably commented this before, is that one, it's 20 threat, so it's a big threat number. If the person going, if you pick it as your secures, the enemy can always go 20. You know, unlike so Fisk is an example of like, okay, 16 not only usually sucks for teams who aren't good at Fisk, but it's good for the like it's good. It's both ways. It's like good for the teams that are good at Fisk. So you're in this like you're bound to like what your extract value is at that point, just in some cases. Whereas I feel like 20 is a threat a lot of people are fairly happy to play. Like generally speaking, yeah, some people can go wider, some people can do this, but it's not like as skewy. It feels like so. At the very least, if the enemy has this, you're probably not super unhappy with the threat value choices. It's not like 16 versus like I hope I don't get I don't know 17 or something like that. So. And I do like that it doesn't favor, like, I kind of hate I love the Fisk mechanic. Like, I love that it moves. I love that the enemy moves it. I love that it's 2 VPs. It's something worth fighting over, but you don't have, but because it's 4 VPs that is isolated into 2. So if you really need that comeback mechanic, you just win both of them. And it's very not hard to do it sometimes. Whereas if you're like on a B shape, it's almost extremely hard to win both of them, all 4 at once without many models, and the enemy can like run away and put one model on the back, whereas Fist, you got to kind of stay in it. You also get that choice of like, I talked about this once, like a lot of people would like bring it towards themselves because they don't want to, they don't want to. Oh, one thing also about this is the power loss is 2 inches and not 1, or range 2, not range 1, which is interesting because then you can bring it. You can bring it towards your own model, so like you have to, so you're contesting it. So like, okay, I'll give you an example. In Fisk, let's just say the enemy won it, right? Enemy won it. A lot of times, me personally, I would want to try to get the stun and damage on as many things as possible and just say, I'm going to come in anyway and try to kill you. Now, at least, you can choose like, oh, you can measure and say, oh, if I put it here, oh my god, did it lock again? No way. It didn't lock, did it? If I put it here, at least he's within 1. It's so weird. He's within 2 to lose the power. So like, I don't know. I think it's more advantageous to bring it towards yourself. I was very much a proponent in Fisk of like straight up nailing the enemy team with it as much as I could, like early on, and then just win it later. Anyway, I like these 2 extract designs or 2 secure designs. I think it's enough points on the board. There's enough decision making whether you want to bring them farther apart or bring them closer together. Are you going to have 2 silos? Or are you going to let one side go? And people talk about like, oh, they're so far apart, you can't really bring them both together. But if both sides, like I guess one thing to comment is, let's just say, you have an attrition team and a fighting team, right? Let's say attrition team goes to one side, fighting team goes to the other and says, okay, well, the fighting team wants them closer together so it's easier to win both of them, and the secure team wants them farther apart so that they can kind of play the long game, whatever it may be. Again, it's very extract dependent. Yes, they get to move one and you get to move one, but like, and they can stay the same distance apart, but it's very different, right? Like if the fighting team says, I'm going to move it, oh my god, right here, and the scenario team says, well, I want to keep them really far apart, and they move it here, it's a lot different because now, like, the distance between the attrition team and this one is 9 inches. The difference between this one and the Sonaran team is 20. So depending on this team setup, they can have one person here and their team here, and the Sonaran team has to go much farther to try to contest or something like that. So I think there is a weird dynamic. Which way do you bring it? How does it work? I'm excited for this one. I think kind of coming back around the Fisk, I really actually enjoy playing Fisk. In fact, I've played Fisk with a lot of models that are not good with stun, like SS Strange and Space Maw and stuff, like people who don't want to be stunned and can do very successfully on it if you play it right. And so I found that game very enjoyable, and so I think this one could have some enjoying. Of course, there's always going to be people good and bad on things. I mean, I try not to overreact too much to that. But yeah, I kind of like that one. There's probably more interesting things with the shapes in between, but I feel like until you play it, it's 2 midline stuff. They're far apart. You can't really influence each other in early rounds like you could with like a Fisk. So we said we're not worried about the D shape, the B shape, or the F shape. The M shape, which one's this? Is this the closer pay to flip? This has to be. So this is the pay to flip that is closer, so it's up and down the same as infinity. So this would be where an F would be and a B would be like over here. I think the big thing to note here is that oh my god, why is this, like, what is happening? Did I just mess something up, man? Yeah, something wrong with my range rulers. Alright, well, that's annoying. Basically, if you're here, a long mover, like a Namor, can get side to side in one move, right? I think so. Kitty? But it's a lot easier. Like, I think the biggest one isn't really about the long movers doing it in one, even though that's very good if they can. I think they can. It's things like in Suns, like you can walk. Pretty sure walk bump. Oh my god, my range 1 ruler is just fucked. But the bump gets you left to right. Did I like lock the token? I must have locked this, right? Yeah, I'm an idiot. Okay, we did it. The one gets you, one bump to get side to side. That's really important for like something like Suns. And I think the big one would be like if you're on a B shape, like rotating between madmen, like left to right, like a medium based medium mover, I don't think can do it like at all. And on this one, you have a lot more leeway to do it. Like you still have to kind of be on the inside, but like you couldn't do it on the B shape. So I think from a rotational standpoint, it's just like a more reasonable Madman. Of course, long moving medium bases like ASM and stuff can really get around. But like even like they could do that anyway. And yes, they were a little better about going B2B, but I don't know. I feel like as good as it is for them, I think being able to do a little bit more with these size guys is important. Like even a medium base, medium mover can get diagonal to diagonal, which might just be important for trying to flip a cross point. I think you're less likely to be like stranded out in the open, and you can always double move to someplace relevant. So I kind of like that one. I guess we can put down wedding guess. No, McCrane. Where did I throw one away? Where is it? Deadline. Oh, this is a B map. Okay, well, that's not important then. It's just a B. Well, to show you how different the B is, let's put this one down. Oh my god, flip. Wait. Really? Am I dumb? What? Where's... I feel like an idiot now. Hold on. Okay. I'm not an idiot. Okay, what the fuck? This is not a B map. Oh, it says P? No. I gotta talk to him. This is not B. Is it actually supposed to be a B map? I don't even know. Because B is like super far away, right? I deleted everything. Oh, they're over here. Cool. Search. Where's Infinity? Let's do this one. This is it. Now this is an actual B. I might have to put a bug report in like right away. Yeah, this is a B. This is not a B. Come on, Carl. God damn it. It's a closer NB. Yeah. I guess it's technically whatever this one is, right? No, it wasn't. That's an M. I feel like an M is an F without the middle. One of these is an F without the middle. Anyway, it's a slightly in shape. This one is more about like diving other people's and going up from there, so I'm not going to talk about that. It's an interesting one. I do think there are teams that can like steal yours with like and make it hard on you, and you might need to really think about counter stealing and how you can like aggressively come back from that kind of stuff. I want people to realize that like going down 3-1 is not the end of the world. Like you can win that. You just need to like go do some more stuff. So X-Men are probably the best example of this, and I'm not shitting on that X-Men are bad, but you know that scene from Indiana Jones where like the swords guy is like doing all his fancy sword work, and then Indiana Jones shoots him, and then he walks away? That's what playing X-Men feels like sometimes. They just do all this shit turn one, and then if you just go fucking kill them, they just die. Now, sometimes they don't, and I'm making it very more simple than it needs to be. But, like, if you don't go shoot them and you're just scared of the sword shit, you're going to lose, right? So, sometimes, like, maybe your first activation is to just double walk into their face and say, do something about it. Especially if they do something. I think the other thing to kind of think about when people do anything fancy or anything like super, like they're going to steal shit or something, think about ways you can prevent it, but think about things you can do to counter it or like put pressure on them. But also keep in mind, like, and this is not always easy, but keep in mind, like, who's going to have priority next turn and the threat it takes to do what they're doing. So if they're doing something crazy, and by their second activation, they've blown 3 cards and half their threat and all their big attackers are gone because they need to use Namor or something to get across the board to do it. This happens a lot with like Namor safe grabbing, which is fine, but if he's one of their most like aggressively like punishing pieces and he safe grabs and walks back turn 1, you can do more aggressive stuff saying you don't have as much to punish me with. Or if you know you have priority, you can say, well, as my second to last activation, I'm going to double walk Hulk across the board and bump in front of you. And you have one activation to do something before I get to go again, right? Just one activation. And most of the time, they're not going to be able to take down Hulk and then start punishing them for like bunkering up or something like that. So I digress on that. So I don't think that shape is very important. The fact that like vertically it's the same, but being deeper in is important. So I think Deadline is probably the last one to talk about. I've only played one new Crisis. I'm going to play a lot more, obviously, in the next games I play. But I've only played one new one. This is the one that is the most talked about because of the mechanic of, interacting for a damage. And so I do think it's one of the more, like, lean towards fighty teams because they can, like, you can't just do extract stuff and expect to live easily. And then as of right now, and I say as of right now, like, the way it's worded, people like Bill, Kingpin, Crossbones can all reduce the damage and still get the power so they can indefinitely survive the detonates. Which is annoying. I think they're a good model of tech for this. Bill is going to be really good on this as it stands. I have no indication that it will change. 0. But Cubes is specifically worded to avoid that. And I wouldn't be shocked, just saying, I wouldn't be shocked if at some point it went the other way. If they said you have to take the damage to gain the power, just to screw over Bills and stuff being like indefinitely immune to this. If they don't, I do not think it's like the most broken thing in the world for them. I think you just deal with them in other ways. I mean, you still have to pay the power to do it. I think the meta will evolve around how to play this. Do I think it still could be a problem? Sure. But 2 games where like people don't know how to play against it and they stand here and just get railed by the pings. Sure, it might feel really dumb. But I think as the game evolves, like I think it could be something where you wait to pick up extracts. Because the thing is, you can do it too. So like, I mean, some people are better at it. Like Red Skull 2 is really good with the grunts at it. But like, okay, if you're worried that you're going to like pick up an extract and like get absolutely obliterated by the terminals, which is also funny that there is a safe space in the middle from everybody. Like if you're like a 35 mil, I think maybe it might even work on a 50. I have to try. You can sit in the middle and no one can touch you other than like attacking you. The point I'm trying to make is that there's a safe spot for everybody. Is Hulk safe? Can Hulk be safe? The point being is people are gonna have to learn like where to stand, when to drop it. Especially early on, like there's an interesting like thing where, let's just say you were to pick one up, like say a hammer here, right? And you were to pick it up right here. You just want to stand on both points and pick it up. If they come and like detonate you, you can take it. And sometimes the ping early on is not good. And maybe some models like healing factor models with having priority and stuff might actually be really good on this because like they're just giving you money is Johnny's word, Jesus Christ. They're just giving you power for the start of next turn. But that's something you can drop it. Like you can just drop it and then they pick it up and then you go ping the shit out of them, right? Like whoever has more extracts is at the risk of getting pinged more. So I've never played on it. I'm sure there are teams and models who are very good on this. I'm sure it can be pretty crazy getting pinged. But I just want to give time for people to get better at playing it. Because I have to assume that people are playing it very poorly and getting railed by the pings when maybe they don't need to. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I'm willing to be wrong, guys. Oh, look, even Hulk can stand here and be safe from everybody. Shit, man. There you go. This is where you want to be, right here. Safe. No one can touch you. Yes, it'll be this divisive, whatever the word is. It'll be annoying, but I don't know. Let's wait to see a little bit, guys. I just there's some sky is falling about this one, and it's like if you play, I don't want to talk shit about people, whatever. I haven't played it, I don't know, but I also don't trust people who've played like 2 games on it. Interesting things from a perspective of like distances, so obviously this is more Suns related, but a medium base mover can get between 2 in 1, so that's very important. A small base medium mover can't, but can with bump, so that's very important to note. You are closer this way for like attacking purposes, so like a rocket standing here, has a lot of range on the inside, and obviously if he was here, he could control 1 and attack from it. Hulk I'm sure can bump and leap between both, so like he is always going to be like a threat with power to, bump and then leap side to side and then start attacking. So obviously, like, detonate aside, like the whole ping thing aside, it is a pretty cool shaped map to where it's a lot closer than it looks. If you look at it like this, right? Let's just zoom in so you can't really see a lot. It looks really close, right? It's almost like sword or that type B. It's like a little bit wider sword shape. It looks like a fighting map, but then when you turn it the angle, it looks a little different. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, this is a perfect square now, so this is the same distance as here, which is the same. Like before, the cross ones weren't the same. It was harder to go all the way across. So I think rotating and being good at rotating will still be, important, but I don't know. I'm excited to try this one. Maybe it'll be just a goof fest, but it has to be better than like Researcher. If you want a specific tech for Midnight Suns, which is kind of funny, since I was on the small train, is if you stand here with Space Maul, and he's not very good because his power is so neutral that he can't do the detonate stuff as much, but maybe you do it instead of throwing, potentially, so if you stand here, no matter where somebody is here, I'm pretty sure, like even if they're on the back side, small can. So this is a good move, a good little shortcut I learned, is that this distance is slightly shorter than the distance of a bump contest. So to say that differently, I don't know why I pinged that. If Blade was here, right, and you wanted to bump away, I'm reverse engineering, right? So Blade's within 1, and you're here. You can tell it's just slightly farther than that move, right? And what I'm saying is, if you're Space Maul and you're starting here, you can space gem yourself, and this is a good measurement note. You can space gem yourself to the edge of this tool, right? That's a good way to measure it, so take this shit away. Just go, I'm going to say I'm on the edge of this tool, terrain depending, of course, right? And now with legal measurements that you can bump back and get back on this point, but you were here. You can do this on either side, so I'm just showing one side. Now you can hit anybody on a detonate with double taps and potentially move them, throw at them. I mean, you're not in throw range. You're just short of throw range if they're on the complete opposite side. But if you hit your trigger, once you can walk them into throw range, right? You can just walk them like down here and throw at them. And then you can bump back when you're done. Now, I will say it becomes a little, I wouldn't say fishy the next turn, but like you won't be, like let's say you went here, like you won't be able to get to the full, like your range to place won't put you the full distance this way. So you'll always be able to bump back, but you won't be able to reach with your attack the full distance. Like you're very close. The point being is, I mean, people would have to knowingly be like on the backside of all these, and you have some options to make. I'm pretty sure if you somehow can get yourself exactly within 4 it's shorter. Like the distance you need to be is shorter. I know this is very small specific, but if you don't want to listen to it, don't listen to it. So like you can say, okay, I know for small to hit the back side of this. Well, that's not a good example. He's not on the back side. Let's put him on the back. Right? Put him on the back. That's as far away he can be and still contesting. Small would have to be here. You can say, all right, if I'm on, the tip of it. Oh, well, shit. Straighten it up, boys. If I'm on the tip of it, so I got to be right by the place symbol, you know that you can hit him. And then when you bump back, you can bump a little bit. You have a little bit more leeway because you're like have an extra quarter inch. You can bump a little bit more like this way. And now it gives you that leeway to where you have to be where the place is, that you can basically, I'm pretty sure you can do it. Yeah, I think you have enough room to do it. Or like if you're placing two. Yeah, pretty sure you can now hit everybody. So this is with perfect measurements and perfect knowledge. It's kind of, but you can always get back. Well, I should have went straight back, but it's close enough that you can do it. But it's good to know. I mean, I don't know if you want Maul here, but it's kind of funny that he can threaten both sides, and with bump, he can kind of go in and out pretty easily, as opposed to just walking and attacking to the other side. But like, anybody with range 4 and Suns could like walk here, attack somebody, and then bump back if they want to get back on the point. Stuff like that. But yeah, Detonate's interesting. I think it's good for Suns. I think it's good for Red Skull 2, obviously, because the grunts get to interact for free, and they go between the points, and they can shoot really far, and I think people are going to need to learn when to drop extracts, when to not, because if somebody pings you... So here's an example. If somebody just double walks and pings you, and for some reason you absolutely don't want to take it, you could just drop it and then go pick it up with somebody else maybe, or force somebody to do that. It still costs power. I guess that's the other thing too. It still costs power to ping people. And so Red Skull is an example of like his grunts do it for free and it's great. He his power, especially in Suns, is tight unless he's getting attacked a lot. So it's not like he has an absorbent number of power just to run around all the points and ping people. Now, sometimes he can be really good, but again, early game, depending on the attacks going out and what people need to do, you don't always have the power to ping a million times and the movement to run around and ping people a bunch of times. So sometimes you just got to be smart about it and drop early, force the enemy to do it, and then go get them back. And sometimes the ping is bad. I mean, sometimes you ping somebody and you're like turning them on for turn 2, and you're like, oh, if I ping this guy, he's gonna be able to charge turn 2 and fuck me up. And then maybe like he just doesn't care. You try to ping him and he just drops the extract and say, go have it, and I'm gonna come get you later on or something. So it probably does cause chaos, but I don't know. That seems kind of fun. I think there's some tactics in there and stuff, and it's not the same bullshit we do all the time. So I kind of enjoy that aspect of it. But yeah, that's kind of my overview of some of the new shapes. Some interesting. So if I had to rank them, I think the interesting Crisis would be this one because of the dynamic of it and the shape. I think the interesting extract will be Inhuman Weaponry will be the biggest one. And I think the tighter Bs and stuff, like the pay to flip and the wedding guest thing. The wedding guest with the Fisk one will be curious because I think I don't think people know exactly who's going to be really good at it, and I like that dynamic. I think the tighter B pay to flip is a really good compromise of like a cool pay to flip, no stat check, tight enough that like long movers have a advantage in their own way, but also short medium movers with small bases aren't like totally bust at rotating, and it becomes like this very isolated on the side game. So for everyone who's jacked up that a full power ASM can go to every console, there's people who are just happy their medium movers can get between points without like being stranded in the middle doing nothing for a turn. So yeah, I'll play some more and I'll let you know how it goes. Thanks for listening.